show us?
We have something. We should speak about a little bit about my collaboration with Popol Vuh. Popol Vuh is named, this group, which actually was not a real group. It was one person, Florian Fricke, who would play most of the instruments in parallel tracks. Sometimes he would invite other musicians. And he appears in two of my films very briefly as a pianist. In my first long feature film, Signs of Life, a man who had an angelic sort of face, used to be a prodigy on the piano and had to quit this career because of inflamed ligaments, and he became a composer. And we started to work together on Aguirre, The Wrath of God, and we would show the opening of Aguirre, and it was a predecessor at that time of synthesizers. What he had was literally, you have to imagine a machine that runs parallel sound tapes. Each tape has a different pitch of tone, and you can access it and play it a choir organ. And he said, I would like to do something with a choir organ. And I said, yes, this will, I heard a little bit, create the space, create the mystery, create something we have never seen or heard. And it's a very opening shot of Aguirre, The Wrath of God. Can we play it?
Tell me a little bit about Florian as a person, because you worked with him on a number of films. It seems like he's, along with Ernst later on in your career, is one of the great music creative partnerships.
Very important, because I made some 8 or 10 films with him. Later we somehow drifted apart. He was going more into some sort of a new age sort of direction, which I never liked. And there's this kind of pseudo-philosophical babble going around, and I don't like all that kind of stuff, and I told him. But of course it's his life, it's his...
How did he take that?
Oh, well, we would be very physical, for example, right after a thing like that. We would play soccer, put up 2 small goals, and man, would he foul me. I came back with a swollen knee after, when I said something like this. I knew my knee would be swollen like this, and I had some bruises and kept limping, but I kicked back sometimes hard. So, but I always liked his presence, and we had a wonderful relationship, and I truly miss him. By the way, pretty much every single composition and performance of Popol Vuh now is available in a box set of CDs. His son, Johannes Fricke, has collected and cleared all the rights and put a CD collection together. You can find it online easily if you're interested in Popol Vuh. And of course, sometimes he would do things where there was only literally almost like one single tone, one single note, and that would be all. And he understood it had to be completely minimalistic.
Tell me a little bit more about Florian as a person, back before the New Age era, and when you were working very closely with him.
We would listen to music, and he taught me and showed me certain things, and he said to me, "I play Wagner for you." First time I really listened to Wagner, some, let's say, like the prelude of Lohengrin, which I staged later on opera, and he pointed out how it was built up, how the very tender, almost inaudible violins are keeping on and unperturbed what is going on. They keep on playing, and then other voices come in, and it gets into a crescendo. So I learned some sort of inner structure of music, and he would play very dirty tricks on me sometimes. I remember, because I have no let's put it this way, I have a communication defect. I understand jokes, but I do not grasp irony, where everything is meant on a different level. And I won, for my first feature film, I won the National Film Award, which was also $300,000 in cash, which I had to invest to my next into my next film, and it was issued by the Ministry of Interior, because Germany doesn't have a cultural ministry because of the federal rules. And after I received this letter, 2 days later, I get a call at an odd hour, 9 in the evening, and a voice says, "I'm the assistant of the minister. The minister himself wants to speak to you." And then a few seconds later, he identifies the minister, says, "I'm the minister, and I call you as quickly as I could because I'm very sorry, we made a mistake. The letter that was sent out to you awards you this prize, but it's somebody else, we made a mistake." And I was completely calmed. I mean, it was shocking. And I was calm, and I said, "Sir, you are responsible for the security of our borders. In what kind of mess is your house?" And And the minister started to laugh and chuckle and giggle, and all of a sudden I realized, Florian, you pig, it's you. It was him. And he never changed his voice from his normal voice. I had heard it. Neither in our conversations, nor the assistant spoke in a different voice, nor the minister. So those were things we went through, and it is as it is. And when I discovered Gesualdo, Carlo Gesualdo, the Principe of Venosa, and I was totally out of my mind because I thought I had discovered a whole continent. Early 1600s madrigals, the sixth book of madrigals, similar like Hercules Segas, 400 years ahead of his time. Only since Stravinsky we have heard similar sort of tones. And I woke Florian up in the middle of the night, and he laughs and he says, Werner, everybody who is into music knows who Gesualdo is. It's not you who discovered him. And I said, yes, I understand, but I still, until the end of my days, I find it unacceptable that anyone else has discovered Gesualdo. So it was a little bit like this. But can we try to see the
clip,
Steiner clip?
That was also Florian's soundtrack work.
Yes, and it's a minimalistic because although it has to do with ecstasies, and Steiner, the ski jumper, speaks about his ecstasies, and of course he's in mortal fear, and he's in terror of crashing to his death because he was so superior that he would outfly all the competitors and land almost in the flat. And that would mean jumping from Golden Gate Bridge or jumping from the Empire State Building onto the concrete floor. He would be dead on the spot. So it's about this ecstasies and fear and overcoming fear. And
being very pragmatic, the process, you filmed this and then you gave it to him and said,
yes, he saw very early, and we would sit over the material, and Florian, of course, knew it was an important film for me because as an adolescent, I wanted to become an athlete and be not a filmmaker, but my first great dream was to fly without, like a bird, or fly like in dreams, like Steiner. And my best friend at that time, during training, had a near-fatal crash. Actually, the young jumper who crashes survived it, and you survive it because when you land on the steep slope, all the kinetic energy of the impact is built down over time, so you can survive a crash on the steep slope. You do not survive when you fly too far. Now, what I also would show in a moment, the end of the film. And important here is Florian again made music which has a crescendo, but it has its crescendo after the real moment is over. It's a crescendo of utter solitude. And also important, and here we have an example because there's a written caption in German, but it's in subtitle, about solitude, and how image, text, and music interplay. Very often it's a text that triggers a music. something that I wait until I hear something in a dialogue, and then I would set in with the music. So finding the right moment, finding the moment of the crescendo. Can we show the other Steiner clip?
It's interesting that you talk about that pause, or how the climax comes a little bit after than you might expect it.
And I let him go out of focus.
Yeah.
And I do not show the 50,000 spectators. That just a moment later you would see the first spectators. There were 50,000 live spectators there in Planica, in Yugoslavia.
For me, as a viewer, at least the first time I saw it without your explanation, I was almost thought of it as there's still something might happen to him. You know, still that there's this fear, even though he's landed. And as a viewer, you're pulled in and you're still expecting something. Is that something that you thought about or that you play with, that expectation?
Well, I didn't play with his expectations. The events actually brought these expectations because he had a crash. He outflew the existing world record by 10 meters, almost lands in the flat, crashes so hard that for an hour he loses his memory. And the Yugoslavian, at that time still Yugoslavian judges, force him, go back, everybody. There are millions on television. We have 50,000 spectators here. They want to see you fly a new world record. And he said they want to see me bleed and disintegrate. He said a very strange Swiss word, zerschellen, disintegrate, crash into smithereens. And every single jump he does, he is under jeopardy of losing his life. So the events itself triggered what the flow of narration does, and it triggers a kind of music that it somehow lifts you up. It's music, and I remember I said to Florian, it has to be something that makes you forget gravity. It has to be lifting you.